I'll call to order the Valentine's Day meeting, February 14th, 2023 of the U.S. Chess Executive Board. This is our monthly virtual meeting. And I guess we'll start with a roll call. This is Randy Bauer, President. I'm here. Kevin Pryor.
Here.
Chuck Unruh.
Here.
Fun Fong. You're on mute, Fun.
He's in the car.
He's driving, so he probably shouldn't unmute himself.
All right. Fun is here.
The wave is legally sufficient, I believe.
Nick Hoffbauer.
Here.
David Ader.
Here.
David Day.
Last but not least, but here.
No, you're not last. John Fernandez.
Last and least here.
No. Well, I hate to say
wow.
Or least. Carol Meyer.
Yeah. And loudest, so I'll stay on mute as much as possible.
Okay. Loudest and least. All right, so we have a quorum. All members of the executive board are present. The open session agenda, the first item then is adoption of the January 2023 meetings. I've read through them. They seem pretty straightforward. Do we have a second or a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Okay.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. And the minutes are approved on an 8-0 vote. Next, excuse me. Next is the financial report. Vice President of Finance, Chuck Unruh.
Thank you, Mr. President. These are wonderful times for U.S. chess. Very, very much so. I look at net equity quite often, and I noticed that this year, this fiscal year, we have changed net equity by $1 million. That's just unbelievable. Many good things have happened. And we'll hear from Carol on operations, investments. We seem to be on all cylinders doing really well. Membership is up. We have a small economy's contracting a little, and donations, people are a little apprehensive. Maybe donations are down some, but other than that, it has been just a phenomenal start to this year. And we're looking good for the entire fiscal year. If you notice the budget, we're over budget. And maybe this is where we lack, is being able to budget correctly, because we're $1,080,000 above budget. It's a nice place to be.
What do you mean by that, Chuck?
Our budget last year was for a negative number, and we've outperformed that negative number by $1 million.
Okay,
roughly.
so we're on, because when I hear above budget, that sounds like we've spent more than we.
I know.
Okay.
No, we are on the good side, but Carol's got her hand up. She's going to tell you that some of this isn't quite right.
Right.
Go ahead, Carol.
Yeah. So again, I'll say my monthly disclaimer about that up number that Chuck was talking about, and a big chunk of that is recognizing deferred membership revenue from last year that wasn't recognized last year. So in reality, we're probably closer up to being up to 300,000 to 500,000, probably three to four, not the million that it looks like. So just
even that's
times are good. Times are really good. But again, I just want to point out that we're not deferring 1-year memberships any longer, right. Recognizing them in the year they're received. So anyway, Chuck, do you have any more to add?
I know the reality, Carol. I was just.
I know. It's our good cop,
it's
bad
nice.
cop routine, right?
But for example, when we talk, I'll go ahead and do the investment part. We have, of course, taken advantage of the sharper increase in interest rates and have multiple CDs or cash deposits that are insured with an average somewhere above 4% already, and the interest rates are still increasing. During this time, we continued our cost averaging in the Life Member Asset Trust and in the Endowment Trust Fund, and cost averaging into a down market that is in recovery is a wonderful thing. For January, our accounts recovered $153,000. That's pretty amazing for 1 month. And they're up again here in February. So those two items have served us well as far as a strategy. And the strategy of cost averaging into the equities and the bond market for superior long-term returns, and also taking advantage of the short-term rates. Today, the short-term rate for the 6-month Treasury went over 5%. That's been a long time since we've seen 5% in the short-term Treasury. So that part of it, the strategies, the fiscal part, we're very, very solid, doing very well. Always room for improvement. So Carol will tell us where the room for improvement's going to occur. Thanks, Carol.
So I want to highlight just a couple of things. Year to date, giving is in fact down for both unrestricted and restricted donations, but our year-end campaign was up almost 8% in total giving over last year, and the number of donors increased by 9%. So that's a very nice indicator of, I think, strength, that people still believe in what we're trying to do. The K-12 grade nationals finished in the black pretty substantially. I believe all the accounting has taken place. We're about 140,000 up for that event, which pretty much erases the entire loss we took for the elementary back in the spring. So even though different fiscal years, it was nice to have such a strong rebound in the new fiscal year. And then I think overall bottom line numbers are strong. The market gave us a little help since the 1st of January, which helped our balance sheet improve. I don't see a lot of red flags right now. I think the state of the union is good, as they say.
So what about liquidity, Carol? I thought we were at a record
we are
number.
very, our cash position is very, very strong. I know that Misty has been putting out our current ratio, and we're somewhere in the low to mid 20s on our current ratio, which is basically just an indicator that we can pay our bills. And anyway, I think as we get to the point where we start spending money on capital expenses, like for the rating server, we'll start to see some of our cash position decline. But until then, we're in a very, very good place.
And part of the, when we look at revenue, the membership numbers are really strong.
Yeah, we are closing in for the first time, I think, pretty aggressively on reaching 100,000 active members for the first time in our history.
Which
And
will
so
be
we're less than 1,500 away from that number. We think it'll happen. If it doesn't happen in February, it probably will happen in March. So we're excited about that and celebrating that when it happens.
Yeah, and how do the numbers look for the other Scholastic tournaments? Do we have any advance?
So we haven't seen the surge yet for the high school. The first entry deadline is Monday.
Okay.
The hotel has been sold out for weeks. So
Okay.
that's usually a pretty good leading indicator. We expect both the high school and the elementary to be strong this year, just given their location. One's in DC, one's in Baltimore.
Right.
And then Texas, Austin area is where the middle school is. And that is always a strong draw for the Texas Scholastic programs. So we feel good about that event as well.
Open to any other questions, but I also wanted to ask you, and we can do it after the questions is, are we going to discuss the new monthly report that Altric is providing to us, or?
We
Just
we
in
could,
terms of-
Carol. Did you want to go through the nice presentation they sent us? Since
So I think what might be a good use of time is getting comments both tonight and in writing and before the quarterly report that gets generated before our next meeting. We can give them feedback. Apparently this is a program that they use to generate this report. So I think it probably can be adjusted to feature the things that we'd like to see. We lost some things from what we had been receiving previously.
Okay. I would encourage people. I mean, there were a couple of thoughts that I had in terms of, I'm not sure quarter to quarter is the way to look at some of those numbers, just because of seasonality. I think it may be more like, well, year to year over year, I think is kind of lost in some of the charts that they show us that I think is more useful because we are a seasonal organization.
Randy, you're saying mostly on the statement of activities.
On the monthly report, the charts that they sent us,
Yes.
you know what I'm talking about, that Carol said that is the new.
I do. I'm asking which page you'd like to see the.
Oh, well, even for example, on any of them. So cash management is quarterly, and I don't know that it really tells me a lot. I think year over year is more useful data. For example, same with kind of any of these where where they're going quarter to quarter. I'm just not sure that's what I'm most interested in, but others have different feelings.
Well, yeah, even the first chart, which was that net cash increase for a period, swings wildly from one direction to the other, right? About $500,000 in each direction. And so, certainly I think making sure we have the context on everything is helpful. Chuck, the one thing, if you don't mind, Randy, the one question that I had was, Chuck, I saw your note about the interesting situation in 30-year treasuries over the weekend.
Yes.
Discussed a 3-day rule. I'm assuming that's trading days, which means it's really more tomorrow that you're going to assess.
Correct.
I assume you're still in a holding pattern there and seeing how the market shakes out.
That is from experience. Even it's on Wall Street, the Wall Street programs. Normally, when you have a sharp drop or a sharp increase, wait 3 days for it to settle. Don't try to catch it either way. That's just kind of a rule of thumb for the markets, and it seems to work.
But
So-
the only impact, if I understand correctly, is you're laddering these kind of the same way you laddered the CDs. And is it
Right.
it's just the maturity dates would be off by a couple days compared to other similar 30-year notes we've bought? Is that the only real impact to US Chess besides whatever the interest
Well,
rate?
that knowing that the new CDs come out on Tuesday. So when you have a rate increase, of course, we want to go into CD on Wednesday or look at the new ones that are on the ladder. So as they come due and the Federal Reserve raises their interest rate targets, we want to know when the new cash deposits come on to the TD Ameritrade list. I mean, they have a list of banks and we just go down and try to find banks that we're not in so that we get the full 250,000 worth of insurance. And of course, they're laddered correctly. More to your point is the cost averaging. If we cost average correctly, even though we're not trying to to overall time the market, but cost average correctly in the quarter, it could mean 2 months or even a quarter's worth of distribution extra, because these prices will swing with the behavioral economics that in the market. So this morning we had a CPI that was higher than expected. The market traded off. There was an opportunity there, but I still, at the end of the day, we saw the 20-year treasury down on the day again, and many of our approved bond substitutes were down today. So we'll wait another couple of days before going in. And just that getting an extra 20 cents here or there really does matter to your return.
And appreciate your leadership on this as always, Chuck.
Yep. Any other comments or questions? Carol, you're not, normally, I guess there's a executive director's report. I didn't see it in open session on the agenda, but did you have anything you wanted to discuss in open session?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, obviously, I agree, Chuck, your leadership on financials has been great. Everything really looks very solid. We're definitely above where, the budget expected us to be. And there really isn't anything that suggests that that's not going to continue for the rest of the fiscal year. So it's all good news for USGS. And I guess with that, we can move to closed session. David, are you? We're back. We have spent a significant amount of time in closed session discussing preparation for some of our future meetings. And I believe there is one motion coming out of closed session. David, do you have that motion?
Yes, I move that the executive board adopt the invitational, adopt the rules for the Dinker Invitational in the form presented to the board, and that same form be used to create the rules for the other invitational events.
And we will, of course, post those on the website if this motion passes. Is the second for that motion?
Second.
The motion has been made and seconded. Is there discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Present. Motion passes 8-0.
Randy, I'd like to say thanks publicly to the Invitationals Committee for working that with the executive board so we could reach a good solution on that.
I agree. I absolutely thank you, Mike, for that. What makes USGS work is the work of our volunteers. This is an organization that's driven by people that care a lot about our tournaments and the other programs that support the USGS mission. This is a fine example of their input that's so valuable for us to be successful as an organization. Is there any other business or anything else that members of the executive board would like to bring before us? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion, hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 We are adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thanks all. All right, guys.